Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between. Welcome to the Transgendered Chef. I am the Transgendered Chef, Diana Clarion. And when you want to eat cheap, as I definitely do, and when I say cheap, I mean austerity budget cheap, one of the menu items that assumes a prominent place on the table is rice. It's reasonably nutritious, it's reasonably easy to prepare, and definitely reasonably cheap. At $1 a pound, rice is not all that bad for the dinner budget. And there are 1,000,001, if you will, ways to use rice for dinner. The one I'm going to work on now is fried rice. It's a staple of my diet, and as I say, this one is relatively easy to make, although it does involve a few steps that you're going to want to attend to. We'll go over those as we do this. Just keep those steps in mind, and it'll be perfect every time. It will not turn out as a rice gruel, which a lot of people complain about, and I know I faced quite a bit as I was digging around to figure out how to do this sort of thing. So, what we're going to do is get started now. The fried rice that I'm going to be making calls for 2 cups of rice, and I'm using here the jasmine rice that I got a little while back. If you remember the grocery shopping episode last time around, that's where I got this stuff, and two cups of it is going to be the way to go. Definitely measure the 2 cups. You want precise measurements here because the rice is very, very water sensitive. Too little water and you end up with crunchy kernels, undone, and too much water, you end up with that rice porridge I was talking about earlier. So let's pour out 2 cups of rice, like so, easily done. There we are. And sight along the top to make sure we've measured fairly well. And this is from my chemistry days, back when I was in chemistry class. We learned how to read the meniscus, and you sight it along the top of the liquid and measure it that way. Okay, so we've got this. Next thing we've got to do is rinse the rice. This is quite important, depending upon the rice you're using. If I remember correctly, basmati rice can have quite a bit of starch, powder, if you will, on the grains. You want to wash that off because that will cause the rice to stick together, and this will not be good for a decent fried rice. Now, in this case, this is jasmine rice. It has less of that starch on the grains, but it's still there. You're going to want to rinse that off. To do that, we're going to just use a strainer, such as that, in a pot, just to keep things relatively in one place. And let's move over to the sink and take care of that. Okay, now to go about rinsing the rice, we want to use cold water but if you need to warm it up a little bit to make it comfortable for your hands, that's okay, just as long as it's not the hot water out of the tap. Everything's good with that. And then we have the Dutch oven that I'm using as the pot, and then the strainer therein. We will pour the rice into the strainer and under the tap, and just start mixing it about with the fingers. Okay, you can see some of the bubbles that are coming up, and note how the water is a bit cloudy. That's a result of the starch that I was talking about earlier. And I have a look here. You can't even see the rice below for the starch that's in the water. Okay, next thing we will do is just lift the basket and back in the pot. Let's get some of the water in the sink out of the way here, and do this again. Just mix, mix, mix. Get it moving around in the water, and dislodge the starch. It's clearer already, which is a very, very good thing. Now, if you were using basmati rice, it would be nowhere this clear right now. You'd have to go maybe 4 or 5 times. So see, you're clearer, but you're still not where you want to be. You've still got that stuff going on in here. So lift the basket, lift the pot. Here, we'll turn the water off a little bit to let the sink drain. There we are, look at that. And then, one more time. How do you like that? Okay, it's a little warm. Let's go to cold. And just mix, mix, mix over here. And this time around it should be a little clearer. It's never going to be perfect, but it's not going to do all that badly, really. Okay. And you can definitely see the rice in the bottom of the strainer now, so that's a little bit better. Okay, let's take this strainer out. It's looking pretty good, but one more time. One more time, just for good measure. Yay! How do you like that, huh? All right. And note that she's looking pretty good in there, really. That's about the best I'm going to get out of this. That's about the best anyone's going to get out of this. So that is a very good thing. Now, to prepare the rice, to cook the rice, which is done first, you definitely want to use cooked rice in your fried rice. You definitely do not want to try to use uncooked rice. It will not do very well. I will use a rice cooker. And the reason I use a rice cooker is it works a whole lot better than a pot, because basically what happens here, let's get this over here. Here's what I'm going to be using. This has the base. Let's get the lid out of the way. Here's where we're going to do the cooking of the rice. Unlike a saucepan, this has a little element here in the bottom of the base, if you will. that's sensing the temperature inside this little vessel here. And what it's looking for is a temperature rise. Okay, the temperature will, come up to a point at which the water here and that the rice is going to be in begins to boil. And because of the physics of that phase transition, the temperature is going to stay there while water is in the vessel. But when it's all boiled off, the temperature is going to rise again, and that little button is going to sense that, and it's going to shut the rice cooker off. My particular rice cooker has a lever that'll pop up when the whole thing shuts off, and other cookers may do other things, but you want to do that mainly because you're not going to do any useful cooking once the water is all boiled off. I mean, at that point it's done. You don't want to burn the rice to the bottom of the bowl. I mean, in my little arrangement here, it's going to happen to some extent anyway. But believe you me, were I to let it go and go and go, it would be total, absolute mess. So what we're going to do now is get this bowl here and just get the rice out of the strainer. Let's wash it over to one side a little bit. Okay. Kind of into one pile, if you will. Okay, there we are. How do you like that? And now comes the fun part. This is the part I got wrong for years and years and years. And finally, just recently, found on a rice site on the interwebs. As I say, getting this cooked is very water sensitive. For the purpose of fried rice, you want the grains to be extremely separate. Okay, no sticking, nothing like that. So you need to use just enough water. In this case, 2 cups of rice and about 2.5 cups of water. And so you want to measure this. Here's all that meniscus reading again. Okay, 2 cups over here. Let's get that ½ cup. And the reason I'm doing it this way is I don't want to screw around with a 4-cup measuring cup. There we are. Okay, so now I'm just going to stick this in the drainer. And I will set up yon rice cooker and be back with that momentarily, not momentarily, presently. Okay then. Okay, here we are, and our rice and water are back here, and the rice cooker base is over there, so let's set the bowl into the base. This is electrically powered, and what I'm going to do, this apartment of mine, where I have the studio set up, is horribly underwired. So I need extension cords all over the place. When you're using something like the rice cooker over here. You set the glass lid on it. You're going to want a heavier extension cord than you might use for your reading lamp or something like that. What I've got over here is it's not 14 gauge. I believe it's 16 gauge, the next size smaller. Let's have a look here. It's actually printed on the insulation. If I can find it again, I lost it. Okay, here we are. We have yes, 16 AWG, which is the next size smaller from the wiring that's used for most of the house circuits, most of the 15 amp circuits. You want something large, like this. If you use an extension cord that's too damn small, as the appliance, say this one, which involves heating, operates, draws current. This may be something on the order of at least 800 watts, if I remember correctly. You're close to a microwave oven. The conductors inside the extension cord are going to get warm. And if they are too small, they will get too warm. They will fuse the insulation. They may well contact each other, and you're going to have a fireworks show on your hands. And really, 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 kids, you don't want that. I've been party to some electrical fireworks, and trust me, it's not the sort of thing you want happening, especially while you're cooking and stuff like that. So we're going to plug this in. The unfortunate thing about this cooker is there is no switch for on or off. When it's plugged in, it's on in one sense or another, which, okay, is not my favorite configuration, really, but that's the way they do it. So, we're going to plug this in, and, okay, it's on the keep warm setting right now. And we have everything set up. I am going to push the lever down as soon as I find it. There we are. It's going to lock in the on position. It's going to heat the water with the rice in it until the water begins to boil, and the rice will then cook. Now, if you can't afford a rice cooker, I mean, I know it's possible to not be able to afford something other than the few things you have. You can do this in a saucepan. Thing is that you want a reasonable amount of room in the saucepan, but not so much that you have to put too much water in to get it to cover the rice. So the thing is, you might want to say a 2-quart saucepan or something like that, and you have to stand there and watch what's happening. You have to listen carefully when you don't hear the faint bubbling that's going to go on anymore. Then you want to pull the lid and have a look and see if there's any bubbling going on. If there is none, okay, now it's time to turn it off and take it off the flame or the electric element or whatever it is you're using, and you'll be okay with that. It's not as quick and easy as it is with the rice cooker, but if you have to, you have to. I mean, I got lucky with this. Actually, I have 2 of these. it's really weird. I have two rice cookers of exactly the same type and configuration by each of them by a different company. Fun. So somebody bought somebody. When I bought them, they were about $10 each. However, when I bought them, it was the late 1990s or the early 2000s or something like that. So we're talking 20 years ago. And it amazes me that 20 years ago is so recent. But we're going to let this go. And it's going to start cooking. And we'll be back when this is finished. Okay, so the rice cooker just went click, and the little lever just popped up. So that means that our rice is now done. So we've got a little something to do before we proceed with the recipe. Number one, we're going to unplug this thing because we don't want current running through it and keeping that thing going. And yeah, okay. We dropped this all over the place here. We didn't want to do that, kids. No, we didn't want to do that at all. Here comes the fun part. Here, let me just get this out of the way here so I'm not too likely to step all over it. There's something out there, yeah, how do you like that there, known as fried rice syndrome. It basically involves a bacterium growing on the rice that's used to make fried rice, and that stuff does all sorts of wonderfully nasty things to your gut. So we want to avoid the growth of that stuff, and the way it's to be done is we'll take the rice out of the bowl here, put it in our pot, slam that pot into the defriginator, and get the rice cold quickly. Okay, we're doing that as far as the fried rice syndrome goes. And the other reason to do that is you really, well, you could if you wanted as far as texture and everything goes, but you really don't want to use freshly made rice. Leftover rice or something that resembles it is a better thing to use for the fried rice. So yes, dear, we'll just open this up over here. Yay! Where did I put that? Where did I put that mitt? One of these days I'm going to have custom oven mitts, but we'll get around to that when we get around to that. Lift this out, and here's our thing. We'll just take the rice out. Yay! Come on, come on. There it goes. Look at that, will you? And okay. You see what I was talking about a little bit earlier? There is a little bit of rice burned to the, or not burned actually, it's stuck to the bottom of this bowl. And believe you me, if you think this is bad, you should see what it would look like were I to let that just go and go and go and go. I'll do a bit of a job of scraping here to get some of it off the bottom and sides. Come on, you. You want to be nice. Yeah, that's what you want. You want to be nice to the lavender lady. Oh, wait a minute. That's another show. Yeah, all right. Okay, let's just distribute this in the Dutch oven. There we are. And then this goes uncovered, so the moisture has less of a tendency to stay there than were it covered, into yon defriginator. And hey, in the morning or afternoon or something like that. Well, let's see. Tomorrow is Sunday, so I suppose after the coffee with lavender, yeah, a shameless plug here for my own channel. I'll get that back out, and we'll go on with the rest of the making of the rice of the fried variety. Okay then, so until then, we'll just fade to black, and we'll be back. Yay! And we are back. Now, I know I'm out of frame, but this stuff over here is the star of the show, not me. All right then, out of the defriginator, we have taken the rice, which has been sitting there overnight, almost 24 hours really. And if you have a look at what's happening here, let's get this stuff out of the way. We're going to talk about these later. The rice is a little bit on the dried side, which is good. It's not exactly every grain separate, but it's close enough that when we begin the frying, that will happen. And that's what we're after here. So what I'll do is separate the rice of the fried variety such that you're not dropping a total lump into the vessel in which the cooking is going to be taking place. Kind of get that apart there a little bit. Okay, fine. That's what we're doing. Okay. And here comes the fun part. The cooking is going to take place in what is known as a wok. Nice bowl-shaped little implement here. What you really want is a cast iron wok. Unfortunately, those are very dear, and I do not have the budget for one of those. Plus, they're not all that easy to find at the local Squall Mart or anything like that. The reason you'd rather not work with one of these things with the non-stick cooking is what you might see at the bottom here. You know, it's a little rough, and what happens is when you're cooking in a wok, things get quite warm, and some of the cheaper woks with especially with the non-stick stuff, will start to flake. The non-stick garbage will start to flake off the thing, and you end up eating it, which isn't exactly the tastiest thing in the world, but this isn't exactly the most high-class wok in the world. I think I paid $7 for it at Squall Mart. It's what they had. It's, you know, like I say, when you're eating as cheaply as I am, you're also cooking rather cheaply, and unfortunately, this is part of it. Okay, so this is going to go on the burner here, and as well as the rice, into this royal mess is going to go an onion, about the size of a baseball. You can slice it, chop it, whatever you want to do with it. I sliced it in half, sliced very thin slices from top to bottom, and then cut those in half. And I have a couple cloves of garlic, reasonably well minced. We've got, believe it or not, half a bag of frozen peas and carrots. Really, it works. It does. At 88 cents a bag, for, let's see, about 3/4 pound. And then half of that goes in. And it's, quite inexpensive, really, when you come down to it. And then we have, what I've done, this is some of the turkey left over from that Christmas turkey I roasted a couple episodes back, a little more than a couple by now. You can put just about anything in a fried rice. I mean, my friend Kate looked at me a little askance when they said I was putting turkey in there. But it does work. It really does. And the whole turkey came at, 88 cents a pound or something like that. I roasted it, cut it up, froze the pieces, and bit by bit, I take this out when I need to cook with it or eat it, that sort of thing. This is about a half a pound. And it does do a good job of flavoring the wonderful food stuff and everything. So that's not a bad thing at all. Okay, now comes the fun part. Well, first of all, we've got a little ginger that's going to go in there. For the frying, we have rapeseed oil. Also known as canola, because people don't like the actual name. And here, got to get yourself a couple of these bottles, really, these oil bottles. They're absolutely fantastic for working with the various cooking liquids. You'll see in a minute how that actually works. And over here, a bit of soy sauce that we're going to use in cooking this stuff. So why don't we get a start on this sort of thing? Okay. Start with the oil, and like I said, this thing gets a little rough when you turn the element on, and it doesn't like it. So what I'll do is put the oil in first, although you're really not supposed to. And we'll just go, one of these little deals here. Now we can start this up at a little bit lower than the heat I'd like. It's got to be at a high heat because we're stir frying, and this is the way stir fries work. They go really, really warm, and you move the food around, and everything cooks quickly and still, nicely. So, yeah, we're smoking a little bit. That always happens here. It's something I wish I could avoid, but it's something I can't avoid around here. It'll quit smoking shortly, but such is the life. And now we're going to start this stuff moving around. Okay, I'll turn it up just a little bit more. This turkey is already cooked, so I'm just getting it warm. What is not cooked is the onion. the other thing that I forgot to name when we got started here, and yeah, that's my damn fault for forgetting to name it, are the eggs. Now normally I'll use 2 jumbo eggs, the largest size at the grocery store. But when I went shopping at the grocery store, the jumbo eggs they had looked like somebody sat on them. So I went a size down to the extra large, and instead of using 2, I used 3. Okay, we're going to take that down just a little bit here, because that's actually starting to smoke, and that's not a good thing. Let's crack the eggs in here. All. Good. Trois. There we are. And then we will scramble these guys. Just, here we go. Scramble, scramble, scramble. And it works pretty darn well. I mean, I'm very much like a fried rice with the eggs in, much more than I like a fried rice in which I forgot the eggs, which has happened once or twice. It almost happened today. Almost happened right now. And then we'll get this moving around. Okay. Onion. Garlic. And come on out of there, you. I do not like to waste garlic. No. Garlic is food group. And it is meant to be eaten. Yeah, there we go. How's that working? And the whole idea here is to keep this stuff moving. Leave it in one place and it's going to burn. And burn is something you don't want, okay? Consider when a large portion of the electorate said in 2016, we're going to burn it down. And then, of course, see what happened. So you don't want that burn happening now. You want a different kind of burn. Hopefully, we'll see how it goes this year. All right, look at that. We are indeed getting there. Now, with that gone, we can do this over here with the vegetables sticking to the bottom of the bowl, which is, fun. Works that way. Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my. Let's get this out of here. Trying to get everything, where it belongs. Okay, we're going to check our, you do want enough oil to keep things frying. Yeah, you don't want the stuff swimming in here. But at the same time, you want enough to get things frying, especially when you put the rice in. The rice is actually going to take up some of the oil, and I'll be prepared for that. Going around and around, round and around we go. Where it stops, that'll be my bowl. Almost eat this the way it is, but the rice is what makes this filling and makes it cheaply filling, let's put it that way. Give it a shot of ground ginger. About 10 shots of ground ginger, but you know, what the hell. Okay, we're going to set that aside. Keep that going around and around. Yay! Yay, 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 yay. Yay, 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 yay. Yay, 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 yay. Moo. Okay, there. Now comes the best part. Got that stuff going on. Like I said, whoops, there we are. As this stuff cooks up, which is not going to take very long, okay, because the rice is cooked already. All we're going to do is fry it up a bit. Let me turn this up just a little bit over here. As this happens, the grains are indeed going to separate, and we're going to have the fried rice that'll be the envy of the house. And considering I'm the only human in the house, not much to envy, yeah. I mean, the little one will do the turkey. She's not so big on the rice. As long as I can hear fizzle, flop, poople, everything's fine. Turn it up just a little bit more. And I don't know if you can see this or not. I hope you can. The grains are definitely separating as this warms up. And we're ending up with more of a shredded turkey than turkey chunks, but hey, that's not a problem. I don't mind. Fowl in any form is just great by me. Now on a different day, I might use chunks of chicken breast. I might use chunks of pork. But whatever it is I use is going to be some of the lower shelf stuff. And the reason I'm doing that, of course, is it costs to eat. Okay, a little bit more of this. Yay. Look at that. Yeah, and I'm doing that because, okay, something you don't know, looking at it on screen, I'm smelling the non-stick coating getting quite warm. And that aroma is not what you want, but you still want this warm enough to try it out. So someday when I can afford a $200 cast iron wok, we will be in some good shape. That day is not today. But around and around we go. Now, okay, some of the flavorful stuff. Yeah, a Chinese national will look at you like you're crazy if you take the soy sauce to your table use it as a seasoning there. But you know, the whole point here is to cook with it, which is what I'm doing. And yeah, this is by no means traditional or anything like that, but it is food. And this will last me a day or two, which isn't all that bad for the money that went into it, really. And you're going to look at me and you're going to say, what, Clary, 2 days out of this dried rice? And my answer is, well, I am trying to lose weight. I have, let's see, at least 30 pounds to go, if not 50. It all depends how I feel when I get down to 180. I'm feeling pretty good. I'll try to keep up a couple more pounds. I wouldn't mind if it feels good, you know, getting down to 160, which is the weight I was at many moons ago, and I really liked it. I did. The problem there is that I was 22 years old at the time, so span of 40 years from then to now. Okay, another quick shot of soy sauce here. And you're seeing me manipulate the oil and the soy sauce in the bottles, and that's reason enough to get those oil bottles. I don't know, about $4 or so at Walmart, and you're not dealing with the large plastic bottles that you'll find the stuff in on the grocery shelf. So you're not worried about fusing the bottle or manipulating it because, you know, you're trying to deal with a gallon bottle of oil or some crap like that. All right, that's about it. Turn that off. Put these eggs away, and let's see how we're doing, huh? We will take a bit of this out of our wonderful wok. And yeah, we're just gonna get this all over the place here. There we are. There we are. We've got the element turned off. So the next thing we're going to do is a little taste testing. How's that? Like that? And here we are. Yay! At the dinner table, all ready to dig in. This stuff is looking pretty good, actually. How's it smell? Okay, a hint of soy. It would smell a little bit better if I had used sesame seed rather than rapeseed. But sesame seed is a little on the dear side. So again, It's all about budget. As I say, you can put just about anything you want in here. There were the frozen veggies that I used. We have the turkey going here because I had some up in the freezer from when I had done the holiday turkey. One thing you don't want to put in your fried rice is cat. Okay, yeah, the little one is a better companion than a meal, right? What do you think? So let's dig in and see how she is. Yeah. Yeah, definitely works. The ginger, the soy sauce, that's actually better than that packaged stuff you get at Squall-Mart or at the local grocers or whatever it is. The stuff they call fried rice seasoning. And a fried rice, keep it simple, really. And besides, the packaged seasoning is on the dear side. And if you don't spend any money you don't need to, you can have something better, with that money, and something better to eat. So, okay, let me have another spoonful. And I'm not using the chopsticks because, number one, eating rice with chopsticks is a pain in the arse. And number two, it's been a while, I've almost forgotten how. And just do the old spoon and everything's fine. So, I'll see what I can do about getting around to publishing the recipe on my reasonably new website. It's not brand new as in set up yesterday. It started sometime in January, which is Transgendered Chef. Let's see. I've got so many websites I forget. I believe it's transgenderedchef.org. And it's not .org, it'll be .com, and by next time I'll have studied it well enough to remember it on camera and not screw up like this. Okay, and I'll thank everybody who's watching, everybody who's not watching. I'm doing this stuff for you, just like my other shows, just like the Lavender Lady, just like the Open Chat. This is a labor of love, basically, and I thank all of you who tune in. And if you learn something, great. And if you have any questions, just drop them off at Diana at transgenderedchef.org, and see what I can do about answering them. And again, no cat in the dinner, no cat. So until the next time around, when I have, oh my, look at that, somebody's having a little bit of rice. Make a liar of me, will you? So until the next time around, which hopefully will be a little sooner than this one was after the previous one. Thanks a lot, troops. See you on the other side.